When most people think about intimacy, they imagine what happens behind closed doors, but the truth is, the real foundation of explosive intimacy is built long before the bedroom. It's the moments you create together in everyday life, the small connections, the laughter, the looks, and the little ways you make him feel like he's the only man in the room. That's where intimacy really begins. Think about it. If someone feels truly seen, truly understood, and genuinely appreciated, the energy they bring into intimacy shifts completely. Passion doesn't ignite from nowhere. It's fueled by the emotional safety and connection you build along the way. If you want intimacy to feel alive, magnetic, and powerful, it's not about waiting until the lights are off and the moment is here. It's about what you do when you're sitting together at dinner, when you're in the car, or even when you're joking around in the middle of a busy day. Every playful smile, every thoughtful gesture, every time you show him that you're tuned into who he is, you're laying bricks on the road to intimacy. It's those tiny investments that make him feel like he can open up, that he can let his guard down, that he doesn't need to impress you or perform for you, because he already feels wanted and understood. Most people underestimate how much little moments of connection shape the big ones. A simple compliment, a gentle touch on the arm, or even the way you look at him when he's talking can be enough to spark that electricity. It tells him without words that he matters, that you're present, that you're not distracted or half engaged. You're there with him. When a man feels that kind of attention, it creates a different energy in him. He's not just a partner, he feels desired, and that desire makes him want to meet you in that same energy. That's when intimacy becomes explosive, because it's not one-sided, it's two people pouring into each other, fully present, fully alive in the moment. The truth is, intimacy that only starts when you're physical will never feel as deep or lasting as intimacy that's built beforehand. It's like trying to build a fire without kindling. You can light the match, but it will burn out quickly if there's nothing underneath it. But when you've already been stacking the wood through laughter, emotional connection, kindness, and presence, the spark catches instantly and the flame doesn't just burn, it roars. That's the kind of intimacy that leaves you both breathless, not because of technique, but because of the bond you created outside of the physical. And this is where so many people miss the point. They focus on the physical act, trying to get everything perfect, when the truth is the perfection is in the imperfection of real connection. It's in the inside jokes you share, the way you can be silly together, the way you can look into each other's eyes and know exactly what the other is thinking. When those layers are built, stepping into intimacy doesn't feel like a performance. It feels like an extension of something that already exists. That's what makes it explosive. It's not forced, it's natural. It's charged with all the emotions you've been creating together throughout the day. So if you want to unlock that kind of passion, start before the bedroom. Start by noticing him, by being present, by adding tiny doses of warmth and affection into ordinary moments. Don't underestimate the power of those small things, because they're not small at all. They're the seeds of intimacy, and when you nurture them, they grow into something far more powerful than anything you could create by only focusing on the physical. That's how you build intimacy that feels alive, magnetic, and unforgettable. Because it doesn't just happen in one place, it happens everywhere you are together. When people think about intimacy, they often imagine big dramatic gestures, the grand declarations of love, the extravagant dates, the surprises that look like they were pulled straight from a movie scene. But the truth is, intimacy isn't built in the big moments nearly as much as it is in the little ones. It's the subtle touches, the words spoken in passing, the tone of your voice when you say his name, the playful nudge when you're walking together, or the way you reach for his hand without thinking. These small gestures carry an enormous weight because they speak to something deeper than performance. They show desire, consistency, and genuine affection. What makes these little things so powerful is that they bypass the rational mind and go straight to the heart. A man might forget the exact details of a candlelit dinner, but he won't forget the way you touched his arm when he was stressed, the way you leaned in and whispered something that made him laugh at the perfect moment, or the way you looked at him when he walked into the room. Those moments imprint themselves, and they create a sense of closeness that can't be manufactured with anything grand. The truth is, intimacy thrives not on perfection, but on presence. And presence is best expressed in those everyday signals that say, I see you, I want you, and I'm here with you. When you start to bring more of these small gestures into your connection, something shifts. He begins to feel chosen in the little ways, not just in the obvious ones. Anyone can show up on a date and put on their best performance, but what makes him feel truly wanted is when you show him that desire in the small, spontaneous ways that no one else sees. Maybe it's a quick kiss on the back of his neck when he's not expecting it, or the way you squeeze his hand just a little tighter when you're walking through a crowded place. These moments may seem small to you, but to him, they are reminders that you're not just going through the motions. You're engaged, you're connected, and you want him. What's also important to understand is that men often crave affirmation in ways they don't always express. The small things you do can make him feel like he's admired, appreciated, and attractive in your eyes. A compliment, especially when it's specific, can light him up more than you realize. Telling him he looks good in a shirt or that you love how he handled something with confidence doesn't just flatter him, it reinforces the bond between you. Those words linger with him, and when he thinks about you later, it's not the perfection of the moment that replays in his mind, it's the feeling you gave him with those simple, heartfelt gestures. And here's the magic: when you make someone feel desired in small ways, they naturally want to reciprocate. Desire breeds desire. Affection invites affection. What you're doing in those little moments is setting the tone for a bigger experience later. By the time you reach those deeper levels of intimacy, the groundwork has already been laid. He feels wanted, he feels confident, and he feels safe to pour that energy back into you. That's what creates intensity that feels explosive. It doesn't just show up out of nowhere. It's built by the layering of these small but meaningful acts. So instead of thinking you have to constantly come up with something elaborate to keep intimacy alive, start with the little things. Think about how you can make him feel wanted in small doses throughout the day. A text that says you're thinking of him, a smile that lingers a little longer, a playful tease that makes him laugh. All of these are signals that build intimacy far more effectively than any single grand gesture could. And when those little sparks are strung together, they create a fire that burns brighter, deeper, and lasts far longer than anything manufactured. That's the real secret. It's not the big things, it's the small ones done with genuine care and intention that unlock intimacy and make it feel extraordinary. Confidence is one of those things that completely transforms the way intimacy feels, because it's not just about how you look, it's about the energy you bring into the space between you and him. You can have the most perfect setting, the most romantic atmosphere, but if you step into that space filled with self-doubt, constantly worrying about how you appear, how your body looks, or whether you're doing it right, the energy gets blocked. What makes intimacy magnetic is not perfection, it's confidence. When you own who you are and show up with the kind of presence that says, I'm comfortable in my skin and I deserve to be here, it becomes impossible for him not to feel drawn in. The truth is, confidence doesn't mean you never have insecurities. Everyone does. It simply means you don't let those insecurities take the driver's seat. Instead of shrinking back or hiding, you choose to lean in, to be bold, to embrace your own value. That shift in mindset changes everything, because a man doesn't connect deeply with someone who is performing or trying too hard to please. He connects with someone who is unapologetically themselves. Confidence has a way of stripping away the masks, and that's what creates explosive intimacy, because what he experiences is the real you, not the version of you that's carefully curated to avoid judgment. There's something undeniably attractive about someone who knows their worth without needing validation. When you carry yourself like you're enough, as you are right now, it signals safety, it signals desire, and it invites him to step into that same energy. If you're constantly second-guessing yourself, worrying about whether you measure up, you unconsciously create distance. But when you trust yourself, when you move with ease and self-assurance, you send a powerful message. I belong here. I want this, and I'm not afraid of being seen. That openness is intoxicating, and it's what allows intimacy to go from ordinary to extraordinary. Think about how energy works. If you're caught up in your head, analyzing everything, your presence is divided. You're not fully there with him because part of you is wrapped up in self-conscious thoughts. But when you let go and allow yourself to be fully in the moment, that's when intimacy feels alive. Confidence is what pulls you out of your head and into the experience, and that's where the magic happens. It's not about being flawless, it's about being free to express, free to laugh, free to let your guard down. That freedom is what creates the intensity, because it allows both of you to feel like you're not just sharing a physical moment, you're sharing yourselves. And here's the beautiful part: confidence is contagious. When you bring that kind of energy into intimacy, it encourages him to rise to the same level. It gives him permission to be bolder, more vulnerable, more present, because he feels that you're not judging, you're not holding back, you're not hiding, you're in it. That shared confidence creates a rhythm, a flow, a connection that feels effortless and electric at the same time. It's not about showing off or trying to dominate. It's about owning your energy so completely that he can't help but meet you there. If you want intimacy to be explosive, start with how you see yourself. Stop waiting until you feel perfect to show up fully. Confidence is not something you earn after everything is flawless. It's something you decide to embody right now. The way you carry yourself, the way you move, the way you allow yourself to be seen without apology, that's what makes him feel like he's experiencing something rare and unforgettable. And the truth is, he's not just drawn to your body, he's drawn to the way you inhabit it. When you love the space you're in, when you bring that fearless energy, you turn intimacy into something far deeper, something that lingers long after the moment is over. Curiosity is one of the most underrated keys to keeping intimacy alive and explosive, because it's what keeps the connection fresh instead of predictable. When two people fall into a routine where everything feels the same every time, the energy begins to fade, not because there's no attraction, but because there's no sense of discovery. Intimacy thrives on the feeling that there's always something new to explore, that there's always another layer to uncover. When you approach him with genuine curiosity, not just about the physical, but about who he is, what he loves, what excites him, you tap into that energy of discovery that makes everything feel more alive. Curiosity creates a mindset of openness. It says, I don't already know everything there is to know about you. I want to learn more. I want to experience more with you. That mindset alone can transform the way intimacy feels. It keeps things from going stale, because instead of repeating the same patterns out of habit, you're continually inviting growth, experimentation, and playfulness. And here's the truth: intimacy is not meant to be static. It's meant to evolve as you both evolve. When you bring curiosity into it, you allow the experience to grow alongside your connection, which keeps it exciting and keeps both of you invested. It's not just about trying new things in the bedroom. It's about being curious about him as a person. What makes him feel desired? What words light him up? What touches make him melt? What moments outside of the bedroom make him feel closest to you? When you approach intimacy with that kind of curiosity, you show him that you're not only paying attention, but that you care enough to keep discovering him again and again. And the irony is, the more curious you are about him, the more he'll naturally become curious about you, because curiosity is magnetic. When you show interest, you spark it in return. Think about how passion feels in the beginning of a relationship. Everything is new, every moment feels like an adventure, and even the simplest interactions carry electricity. Over time, couples often lose that spark, not because the attraction disappears, but because they stop being curious. They assume they already know everything there is to know, and so they stop asking, they stop exploring, they stop discovering. The best way to bring back that spark is to bring back curiosity. Ask new questions, create new experiences, surprise him in small ways, and let yourself be surprised too. Curiosity invites mystery back into the relationship, and mystery is what keeps intimacy explosive. It also requires a willingness to be open yourself. Curiosity is a two-way street. If you want him to reveal new sides of himself, you have to be willing to reveal new sides of you. That could mean sharing fantasies, trying something you've never done before, or simply being more open about what you love and what excites you. Vulnerability feeds curiosity, because when you let him see a new layer of you, he'll naturally want to explore it further. This constant exchange of curiosity and vulnerability is what keeps the connection dynamic and alive, rather than flat and repetitive. When you approach intimacy with curiosity, you remove the pressure of perfection. It's not about getting everything right. It's about discovery, about learning together, about experimenting without fear. That creates a playful energy where mistakes don't feel like failures. They feel like part of the journey. And in that space, intimacy becomes something you both look forward to, because it's not just about pleasure, it's about connection, adventure, and growth. That's when intimacy stops being routine and starts being extraordinary, because every moment feels like an opportunity to discover each other all over again. So if you want to unlock explosive intimacy, don't let curiosity fade. Keep asking, keep exploring, keep surprising, and keep allowing yourself to be surprised. Treat him not as someone you've already figured out, but as someone you're still excited to discover. Because the truth is, no matter how long you've been together, there are always new layers waiting to be uncovered. And curiosity is the key that unlocks them. Presence is the difference between intimacy that feels mechanical and intimacy that feels unforgettable. Too often, people get caught up in the idea of performing, of making everything look flawless, of hitting all the right moves. But that kind of approach takes you out of the moment. It makes you self-conscious instead of connected. And what should feel passionate ends up feeling like a routine. The truth is, intimacy is never about perfection. It's about being fully there, body and mind, and letting the connection flow naturally. Presence is what makes even the simplest touch feel electric, because it's charged with genuine attention and energy. When you're present, you're not overthinking how you look or whether you're doing something the best way. You're not comparing yourself to anyone else or replaying worries in your mind. You're here in this moment with him, and nothing else matters. That kind of presence is powerful because it communicates without words. You have my full attention, I'm with you, I feel you. And when a man feels that level of focus and energy from you, it heightens everything. He doesn't just feel desired, he feels chosen, because you're not distracted, you're not half invested. You're completely engaged with him. Presence also allows you to notice the small details that make intimacy more meaningful. You start to pick up on his breathing, his expressions, his reactions, the way his body responds to yours. Instead of rushing or following some script in your head, you're tuned in to the subtle signals, and that makes every moment more responsive and alive. It's no longer about trying to create the perfect experience. It's about creating your experience together, moment by moment. That's what makes it explosive, because it feels real and raw, not rehearsed. Think about how disconnected intimacy can feel when someone is physically there but mentally somewhere else. Maybe they're stressed, distracted, or just going through the motions. You can feel it instantly because intimacy is about energy as much as it is about touch. If the energy isn't there, no amount of technique will make it powerful. But when you bring presence, when you give yourself permission to let go of distractions and just be in the moment, everything changes. A simple kiss can feel deeper. A touch can feel more intense. A look can communicate more than words ever could. Presence magnifies intimacy because it amplifies every detail. What's important to realize is that presence is a choice. It's not something you stumble into. It's something you cultivate. It means putting away the phone, quieting the mental chatter, and allowing yourself to drop into the experience. And yes, that takes practice because we live in a world full of distractions and constant noise. But when you commit to bringing presence into intimacy, you're making a statement. This moment matters, you matter. I want to be here with you, completely. That's what transforms intimacy from ordinary into unforgettable. And here's the beauty of presence. It takes the pressure off. When you're fully in the moment, you stop worrying about outcomes. You stop trying to control everything, and you allow yourself to enjoy the flow. That freedom makes intimacy feel playful, adventurous, and alive. It's no longer about achieving something, it's about experiencing something. And ironically, when you stop chasing perfection, that's when the connection becomes perfect in its own way, because it's real. So if you want intimacy to feel explosive, shift your focus away from performance and toward presence. Let yourself be there fully, without distraction, without judgment, without pressure. Notice him, feel him, respond to him. Let the moment guide you instead of trying to control it. Because in the end, what makes intimacy powerful isn't how flawless it looks. It's how deeply it's felt. And presence is the key that allows you both to feel it to the fullest. Vulnerability is the secret ingredient that turns intimacy from something surface level into something that feels truly explosive. It's easy to think intimacy is only about passion, energy, or technique, but none of that matters if there's a wall between you. When you hold back parts of yourself, when you hide behind masks or pretend to be stronger than you feel, you may create closeness on the surface, but the depth will always be missing. What makes intimacy unforgettable is when you dare to drop the armor and let him see the real you. That rawness, that honesty is what invites him to open up to, and that's when the connection becomes powerful. The truth is, vulnerability can feel scary because it means showing the parts of you that you're not sure are lovable. It's letting him see you when you're not perfectly put together, admitting your desires, your fears, or your needs without worrying about whether it makes you look weak. But here's the paradox. The very thing we fear will push someone away is usually the thing that pulls them closer. Vulnerability is magnetic because it's rare. In a world where so many people are trying to impress or maintain control, being real stands out. It feels refreshing, and it creates a space of safety where he feels like he can drop his guard too. When you're vulnerable, you send a powerful signal. You don't just have my body, you have my trust. That level of trust is intoxicating. It tells him that he's not just experiencing intimacy on the outside, he's been invited into the deeper parts of who you are. And when he feels that, it changes the way he shows up. He's no longer just participating in an act. He's meeting you in a place of emotional truth. That's where explosive intimacy comes from, because it's not just two bodies connecting, it's two souls. Vulnerability also means expressing what you want without shame. Too many people hold back because they're afraid of being judged, or they assume their partner should just know. But when you can voice your desires with openness, it doesn't just create better intimacy, it creates trust. It shows him that you're willing to risk being seen in order to build a stronger connection. And that courage often inspires him to do the same. When you both feel free to express without fear of rejection, the experience becomes infinitely deeper and more satisfying. Of course, vulnerability isn't about oversharing everything at once or forcing yourself into a place that doesn't feel safe. It's about gradually peeling back layers, allowing him to see more of the real you over time. It's about honesty in the little moments, admitting when you're nervous, laughing at yourself when you make a mistake, letting your emotions show instead of hiding them. Those small acts of vulnerability build trust brick by brick until the walls come down and what's left is a connection that feels unshakable. And here's the beauty of it. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you create a kind of intimacy that lingers long after the moment is over. He doesn't just remember what you did together. He remembers how you made him feel and how safe it felt to be real with you. That memory becomes a powerful anchor, something that makes him crave more of that connection. It's not just about passion, it's about depth. And vulnerability is the key that unlocks it. So if you want intimacy to feel explosive, let go of the need to always be in control, to always be perfect, to always be guarded. Show him the parts of you that are real, even if they feel messy, even if they feel uncertain. Because it's in that rawness where the true spark lies. Vulnerability may feel like a risk, but it's also the bridge that leads to the kind of intimacy most people spend their lives searching for. And when you're both brave enough to cross that bridge, what you find on the other side is a connection that's deeper, stronger, and far more powerful than anything that could ever be built on surface level closeness.